Confidence through the roof there for Alpha 7, and they've been showing that inside of the battle. Let's get back into it then, Blank, as we can set this one off and get course correcting for what should be an explosive finish.
But the cleaners mopping the floors there. We'll see who can mop the floors in this game as well. Who's going to be able to pick up some big points, because we are in our last match of the day. But don't worry, because there'll be more tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, and the day after that.
Keeps it going.
We're just going to keep it going. We're just going to keep it going. We've got PUBG Mobile action galore all the time, but if you just want to be coming in for the main stage, that is going to be happening a little bit later. After this group stage, we do have the survival stage to decide who's going in for that main tournament. It's still going to be spicy. It's still going to be fun. Probably very spicy, considering there's only limited slots, but for now, we are over towards Miramar. Match 6. See who can come out on top on this one.
I see who's going to be taking it. As we've seen a bit of an exchanging of hands, we've been shaking it up a lot with what we've been having occur in front of our solo peepers, Blank, our eyeballs inside of the games. It's been pretty interesting today, I'll give you that. First half started its off with success, it's followed on now with the past couple games we've had here, and I'd hope for a big boom at the end of this one, so to really bring it on home.
I want some explosive action towards the end here, and I think that what we've seen so far would only indicate that that's all we're going to see. We're going to see more of that. More of that is going to be coming through. This is more of a kind playing path, I would say, Jackie. I think that what we have here is going to be able to give a lot of teams much more space to play inside the circle. It's going to give them a lot more space to play the map in general, which means we're going to see less hot drops. You already see here Tiamba has wussed out. They're not going back to El Azhar. That was a bad time for them. But yeah, Circle also really kind. I think this is one of the first games I've seen in quite a long time, actually, where I've been like, playing path, cool. Circle, cool. This is all down to skill now.
Yeah, there is no abnormalities that are going to make it for harder, which is always nice to see, mate. And like you say as well, I imagine there is probably a little bit of the memories living rent-free in the minds of Tiamba. But for one man, Big Bond, he's probably quite happy with how that went in the end.
So I don't think that went too badly.
I think it was fine, lads, if I'm honest with you. We killed quite a lot of them. We were racking up the elims.
Yeah, it was kind of sick. Second place, but I did well. And they're all like, oh,
yeah, all right.
Really
I mean,
ruined
it. Maybe it could have been that, but yeah.
Bond's just beaming the entire time.
Just smiling away on the drop. Let's get a chicken dinner this time, guys.
It's easy. It's easy, this lobby, actually. I've took on all of them.
If you all did what I did, it would have been fine. It's not really fine on the drop, though, for Berserktas, at least in terms of the opening engagement. Kago Saka being able to find the first elim there and open that one up. Take the top off like a can opener.
Yeah, I mean, Besiktas so far have not done too badly in these matches.
Yeah.
The old scaling of the building tech right there.
Parkour.
Nice to see. Something you can add to your own games at home if you so wish. Easy to get down from those buildings. Pretty useful as well if you want to get off that high ground nice and quick. And it does take quite the time to scale all those stairs when you can just grip onto the windows like a bit of a Spider-Man antics going on. Boom, Esports, Impala did not do enough that last game, in my opinion. I think there was a lot more that they could have invested in that match in terms of positioning, in terms of movement, in terms of rotations to get themselves further up on those tables. I mean, we're looking right now as they come up on a screen, like the production is magic. I can see into my brain what's going to happen next, but never mind, they've ruined me. They gave me the stats for 2 seconds. Bring them back right now, this instant. But yeah, we do have brute forces stats that
oh, mate. You were cast the curse in the broadcast bank.
What's going on?
Why are you doing this?
What's happening? What's happening? I feel like someone... if I talk about the rankings, is it going to be okay? I think it is. But yeah, Udo Alliance right now, 41 points. Not bad at all. Alpha 7, 45. And D plus Kia, 50 points. I think that's the big surprise from this tournament so far, is D plus Kia in first place at 50 points. You know, I was talking to the big brain himself, Mr. Max Mann, and he was saying that did not think the Korean teams really had it in them anymore to hit those big points. But D plus Kia used to be this team we would hail as central team, pick up a compound, kick up the feet, turn on the telly, and have themselves a good game off the back of that. But feels like they're actually hitting some good shots, they're taking some good fights, and they're not afraid to go for some of these eliminations. So it's a very, very big change for D plus Kia, I would say. I mean, considering the fact that a lot of the team has been switched out a bit, so there's bound to be gameplay changes off the back of that too.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of that as well, where especially off the end of today, going into tomorrow, it'll be very interesting to see how clearing the bag, back at the hotel, have a look back at the benchmarks, watch back the VOD, see what you can adjust to see how that's going to shake things up as well, because that's going to be a big part of it. There's been some unlucky engagements for a few of the squads that potentially looked like they were really going to have a field day with the early setups we saw from them. And then by the end of it, you look 5 minutes later, blank, we're down to 3 squads remaining, none of them still alive and kicking at that point. So it's interesting. We'll see how that shapes up, though. That's an idea for tomorrow. For now, we'll stick with the present.
Because it's like such a quick tournament as well, like 3 days, right? That's the difficulty. And for when you get home and you try and unpack this, like it's far easier for some teams like D plus Kia Alpha 7 to be like, well, what went well today? And they have a lot to look at and be like, we can do that again. But there's some teams like IWNRX who is a case of everything went wrong today. What can we change? And I do think one of the biggest deals for IWNRX is that they've come from a region where they felt on top of the world. They felt like they could fight anyone. If it came down to a 4v4, they just win. And that safety net pulled out from underneath them. Some of these fights that would have just been, right, we're going to take this compound, we're going to fight them, we're going to win, they can't do that anymore. So picking up these really strong positions around the map, there's not a possibility.
No, makes it far harder. Keeps you guessing. And it is interesting, so we'll see. That's definitely something that will develop over the course of the next few days here, especially as the competition rages on, as there is so much PUBG Mobile over the course of the next little while, Blank. We've got a lot to get through. This is only the beginning, so I hope you've been enjoying the show today so far. We've kept you on your toes. And like we said, I reckon this one's definitely got the innings to have a fair bit of gas to it, Blank, as it starts to develop.
But Moneymakers here, previous winners of our last game there on Miramar, so just need to do it again. Just do it again, lads. Do it again. Which is nice to see, because I do think that Kale makes a good point over on the broadcast as well, in the sense of, look, Brute Force, Moneymakers, they're both hot and cold teams, right? You know, you're either getting the iced coffee or getting the very, very red hot coffee from these guys. And it's difficult to know what type of day is going to come out from either of these squads. So it does make it difficult for other teams in the case of, are they just going to annihilate us today, or are they just going to let us walk all over them? So I do think for Moneymakers, it is nice to see them pulling off some big games. But I do think that the biggest factor for the Moneymakers, Jackie, in that last match is the fact that they won that one off the back of good rotations and a strong end game. And I will say that for the most of the matches that in EMEA where they were doing really well, it was more of an opportunistic play style, going for third parties, taking really big risks in terms of how can we make this fight very uncomfortable for another team so we can win off the back of it. So it was interesting to me that they worked a lot on their just rotational based game, a more passive play style, which is nice. Because I think if you are a team like Moneymakers, you're coming into this tournament, they've done a lot of research and they've done the right research.
Yeah, they've got the adaptations that they need. Bit of a triple barrel roll there.
That's kind of nice.
You'd like to see that. I mean, that would get, what, maybe 8 points? I'll give that an 8 points.
8 points, 8.2.
8.2?
Yeah.
I'm saying I'll be happy with that one, mate. That's quite nice. You can print that out, put it on the fridge, have it to look back on. Well, you'd hope they'd have something more from this one. You know, we were talking about power a lot over the course of the past couple of games, and I'd really like to see it on the server, have them just come alive, really, in some of these engagements. It's felt uncomfortable in terms of the positioning. I think that's kind of been the more rough position for them they've been fighting from. It's always an uphill battle.
I think if you speak to any kind of PUBG Mobile fan and you ask about power, you will 100% get the vibe that they're not a bad team. They aren't a bad team by any stretch of the word. I mean, most of the teams here at PMWC are not bad teams.
You've got to be good.
You've got to be good to make it this far, but Power currently aren't really playing to the standard that I would expect them to. There's some good shots coming through from Easy, but the rest of the team is just down on their knees. Icy does hit the deck. Is knocked, but not flushed yet. And Moneymakers are just handling business over on this side of the map, down towards the southeast. In the meantime, we do get a circle. Heads up towards Hacienda del Patron. Interesting finish here for a lot of squads. Bit of open area, some big old buildings to play around with. Could be a very fun finish. Now Haji soars into this compound away from the danger zone that is the Moneymakers.
Yeah, he had to get out. Rest of the squad, unfortunately, it's not so easy for them as they go down heavy off the back of the engagement with Moneymakers. He bought a bit of time for the getaway with the single knock, but that's all it's going to be. You can reset from that engagement. So things are fine for Moneymakers, and you're getting the additional points off the back of it. Reject crawling on the bellies as well, trying to go around the edge here, but they got nades raining down on top of them as Poser dashes out another one. The smoke's at least giving them some cover, but it's not too clean. Kago Saka, they've got an angle from the other side, and they're always finding these cheeky picks in the back.
Yeah, this is the rough part, and I think this is where a lot of teams have sort of switched up their gameplay, refined it a little bit in the sense that if you're going to go for a crash on a building, you need to be on that building. You can't go for these splits like where we see Regiosio right now, because so many teams are waiting for this to happen. How can we take advantage of it? How can we improve our position by taking advantage of a bad one? Here's our little replay on the triple barrel roll, which somehow...
Wait, that's like 6.
Yeah,
maybe 7.
Somehow, some way, just casually back on its belly.
Yeah, not bothered, not bothered. He's got the new magnetic wheels. Lure you back down to the ground.
It's loaded dice wheels. They can never end up upwards.
You always get 6s. Yeah.
How is that possible?
Just a bit of luck.
Just a bit of luck. Don't look in my backpack.
Please don't inspect the dice. We've weighed them.
This one is significantly heavy, sir.
Only in one location.
Interesting, interesting. Right now, we're weighing heavy over towards probably Boom and IWNRX, though. Got some nice central spots for themselves. I'm a bit more concerned about that area of the map because I do think final game of the day, if you're IWNRX or Boom Esports, you're looking for something big.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going into tomorrow just having bad game after bad game after bad game. Really affects the mental. And they have to understand, and I'll keep saying it, that the bottom 12 be heading through to that survival stage. You do not want to be in that bottom 12. And it's so forgiving and so unforgiving at the same time. Because the bottom 12, you're put in a position where any mistake could lead you not getting through to the main tournament. But 12 teams being given that chance out of the 24 to get into the main tournament, that's a lot of squads. So you've got to make the most out of those 3 days.
Yeah, live by the sword and go down by the sword. You really can make your own history. Don't want to leave it up to someone else in those sort of situations to lap you a point and then be gambling, living on a dream that you're able to float your way through. So put your best foot forward when we get there. For now, pot shots across the board, taking out the tires and making it awkward for the getaway for Moneymakers from the ridge they've got as we start to see the move up on the rotates.
Yeah, this brute force rotation right now from water treatment is one that's kind of curious. I mean, they do come from La Cabrera, so it's a bit of a difficult rotation for them, but they have made it through. Not many teams trying to stop them, but is this fight between them and 4 Miracle Vibes? Pre-pod almost certainly going down. Nice little off angle here from Baron as well. And I think that 4 and V very much expecting teams to come through from that north side, set themselves up nicely. No one really on that south side is challenging them because Kago Saka, why would they leave Hacienda? It's a strong spot for them to be in.
And the vibes are good right now. For Miracle being able to make the plays that they need, only taking small amounts of damage, little licks here and there. There is a bit of a clash back though, as things have gone quite rough for Brute Force in terms of the damage and the knocks that you've established. So you're looking to at least keep yourself guessing. You've seen the compounds being grabbed, that's more cover to work with, dives in the vehicle and looks to double back a bit further. And they're closing the distance on this. They want to take them out if possible.
Yeah, it's difficult now for Brute Force as they get closed in on them. Neos has done his absolute best to try and keep players at bay. Chudo, Freezer, Neos all up, but 4MV getting ever closer into nade range. They're all stacked up here. Apex with 6 grenades. That one has to be big. It's right on target. Takes him down, and Chudo's still alive. Another one nicely placed, but Chudo will go down before he can send another across. There's no response. Neos does not have the angle, and Baron's far.
You'll sell right now with the damage that's being established. You've got a little bit of cover from the back line, but there's no real angle for him to help the rest of the squad. Meds being popped. So Miracle Vibes have to start moving around and getting a bit closer into this one. In the meantime, power down and out as well as they get wiped off the equation, and the gap is being closed.
Meantime, Tiamba, what was that? Just instantly coming up on the feed there. Entirety of Moneymakers just out of the game. Freezer, the up-and-coming rookie from EMEA. This guy's gone instantly to a LAN right now. He's got to be feeling pretty nervous about this, but he was the biggest clutch member coming out from EMEA in a long, long while. Let's see how he handles the big stage in front of him.
And he dodged those nades. The proficiency he's been showing us so far. Bullet round the sideline will clip him. Went for the re-peek on the angle. Not going to work too well. He's finally down. Nios, he's been backing off this whole time, looking to actually have a better Overwatch position to help out. Rest of the squad's been finished off for it. Can he do something outrageous here? At least look for the isolated fights. I don't know if he's been seen on the peak.
Yeah, I think he might have given away his position here just slightly. Baron moving around on the side. This is really good play from 4MV. They've just been isolating sight lines. Neos just find a shot. Immediately has to look over towards Doc, but well done to 4MV. They weren't taking any chances on that fight, but immediately back on board with Alliance as D plus Kia look to swarm over the edge. It is Leon's though with the S12K just putting the hurt in.
Oh, mate. D+, this would be huge for them. Already at the top of the rankings, if they can keep on climbing and take down Alliance inside of this fight, you'd be over the moon with it. You've got at least a bit of a move up. The Ridge here could work. Pre-prime the nade as well for the peak around the corner. See if he can get the splash damage off. It's going to be tight on the peak. Seen the man on the face. Knows that it's really getting risky now. This is looking rough. I mean, there is an opportunity to maybe make something off it, but the nades are going wide.
Yeah, it's a nice move there from D plus Kid. They're completely faking out the position where the bodies will be. And the nade comes out just a little bit too soon. Osal has a big task in front of him, takes a big chunk of damage from the nade, but it's not enough to sit this guy down as he stands up for the rest of the squad here. And we'll finish off Alliance. Like you said, this is big news, pushing them further down the rankings so they can't catch up here. And D+, once again, getting further ahead of everyone else here. Really good stuff for this Korean squad. I think that they've been surprising everyone today. Here's Al-Haji, decent haul, but not quite enough versus DRX.
No, not going to be enough for the Power fans again. That was when we saw them exit stage left a few moments ago. But the fights have been delivering consistently on this one, and there really is never a dull moment. Smokes up to provide a bit of a shroud, see if they can bail out the teammate that's down cold on the deck. Zinko know the locations of Tian, but you've also got a bit of a backstab as well, developing with the height that's established there.
Yeah, Bond goes down there. That's Xavier on that southeast side. They've had some really good games in the past where they were able to control a lot of space. Right now, their split is pretty wide on that southeast edge. Only really have to deal with D plus Kia, who are wolf packing it, honestly, in towards that northern side of the map. Quite a few squads still left in the game. You know, stage 4, almost to stage 5. Stage 5, sort of that snap where everything starts to go very much downhill for some teams. We do have the old zip line in front of us for a quick getaway if needed.
A DK on DX action starting to build up in front of us with the rotations. It's the high ground that could really be the fickle mistress, though. You've got better angles to take this fight. Lamborghini all the way towards the back. Has a nice bit of control to work with. Starting to move their way up, at least. They've got the vehicles. A little bit of momentum for them. Reposition from the side of Xavier, so they don't overcommit to the engagement here. In terms of the closer rotations as well. I mean, Inko and Tiamba for back, so they've actually got a bit of coverage on this one. Training a lot of those smokes, though.
Yeah. I think right now, Xavier have a lot of high ground to play around with. You can see that their split went from being ultra wide to being now super narrow because they want to be able to deal with D plus Kia. They know they have the high ground, and the best thing they can do here is force the team over towards the western edge. I mean, they could make that push over towards Besiktas, but we know that Kagosaka has great sightlines over towards that compound. We saw Reject take heavy hits earlier on. Reject were able to manage to stay as 3, which is kind of interesting to me, honestly. I thought that they were sort of down and out in the ditches, but able to find themselves a bit of a compound to play around with. Next circle, just about to pop, heads further towards that eastern side, making this position from Xavier even more important to keep their hands on.
Yeah, see if they can control the rotations. Rotates that are now starting to occur. You've got the fragment, quick getaway. See if you can move your way up a little bit here. And you're right as well. For Reject, I'm surprised to see they're still standing and actually found themselves a bit of a safe spot to play around. It looked rough. Last time we checked in on them, it wasn't looking good. Green around the gills. But now, maybe there's an opportunity. They can go for the same style of play. Keep the damage out on the rotate and see if they can make it awkward for Kagosaka. They're at least looking to reset and slowly move out in those duos. Get the map control they're looking for.
D plus Kia, like you said, they did get that runaway in K. They didn't want to send too many players out towards him because if he anchors, gets taken down, that's fine. They lose a player, but at least they know that that place is taken and they'll have to go for a different approach. But he's got it. and he's got in quite well. It's not the greatest of plays in terms of positions, but it is somewhere. And I think that with the circle the way it was, realistically for D+ Gear, they just needed somewhere to stay. And they can hold out a lot of these teams that are playing on that western edge. IWNRX and Boom, once again, they are far into the game now, stage 5, and these are important matches for them. So IWNRX, my eyes are on them this match.
For Alpha 7, we heard in the interview that they were feeling confident. They thought that everyone was their competition. Not a single squad was isolated from them. They just wanted to take down any names that dared to step towards them. And they keep the pressure on, at least, making it a bit more awkward for CAG on the rotate. You've got close grouping of about 3 squads there as well. So not much room to breathe, at least a bit of cover provided amongst them. They can take their time to heal back up.
Oh. 7, though, getting ripped to pieces as Kagasaka comes through, and that's Alpha 7 down. And again, I did want to say it earlier, but I feel like this is Alpha 7's biggest downfall. As you come into these tournaments trying to say that, you know, no one's your competition. I get that you want to have confidence coming into this, but you need to place your chips on the table sometimes to be like, this team's really good.
Yeah.
We need to take care of them. We need to watch out for them. I think respect is something that needs to be brought up on that squad, honestly, because you can't be making those plays and expecting not to just get demolished. I mean, they got an initial good shot off, but the crash was lacking there, Jackie.
They had so much time to reset from the last engagement as well, so back on full health and just made it look easy. Blinking, you would have missed it on that one from Alpha 7, sweep onto them. And it's not looking too great then. So yeah, they put a target on their back, potentially blank with that interview.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The big old bullseye. Boom. Still 4 players, 1 elimination, but it's 4 Miracle Vibes up to 5. And I think they've been playing this game much more akin to how we usually see 4 Miracle Vibes play their matches out. I think it's been a weird 5 matches so far for them, where some of those smart plays, some of those intelligent rotations we usually see from 4 Miracle Vibes just weren't there for me. They weren't there for me, but it looks like someone has switched on brain with Big Head and now are working well in these matches, which is good to see. It is really good to see, because I think that they were a big favorite in these upcoming games.
They just got to keep it consistent. And this has been non-stop, obviously, ever since you saw the control from DXavier previously. It's been hard for D+ Gear to actually make the move past them. Now you're
That's a nice nade.
Oh, the rebound on that. It looked like it was all about to go west, but you bounce it around the corner, get the establishing damage off, somehow reset the fight they were thrown into. You got backup from Reject now waking their way in through the hill as well and putting damage down from range. It's all getting messy.
That was an unbelievable bounce. I mean, sure, he takes out his own teammate, but kept him alive for a little bit longer. But this is a perfect time for Reject to move in. They have 3 players still alive. DXavier sort of split up here as Paragen immediately moves back over towards the east. Central circle. Tiamba has a nice little bit of a ridge to play around with here. And Reject's not currently in. To be honest, it's only 2 players up there with Nade as well as Chua. Potentially there's an opportunity here, but instead that they're more focused over towards Kagasaka, trying to move out. Regiosio got him dead to rights here on the angle.
Being fed a few opportunities on the peaks. And it is making it very awkward. Kagasaka recovering from this one looks very slim. Everything's gone wrong for you. All you've basically got is that shroud of smoke, but even then with the angle, Reject have been playing off. Osio is able to hit shot after shot when they do have to peak. You're at a stalemate for getting away from that.
A lot of teams just waiting things out. It's Tiamba though versus Inko, who've moved in. There's been some great shots. I'm not sure if that's 3 down there with just Nenebete out on the eastern side, refusing to make in. And he lives on the push as well. NXC, alive to tell the tale. A 2v4 at this stage in the game is unheard of.
You've given him the keys to the car and he is just breezed out of there, topping out at 7 miles an hour. Battling back as well. Tiamba looking to keep the carnage going. Snapshots across, looks to reset for the quick rapid reload. Knows that he could get a prime shot off here on target. And that's where it is, Blank. Softening him up and keeping it uncomfortable.
Beautiful stuff. I mean, Paragen will steal it away, but I think Tiamba's honestly happy with that regardless. QZ, NXC able to pick themselves up a 4 elim on the game, up to 7 now towards the top side. Beautiful stuff. Kagasaka finally finished off. But again, it's 4MV. IWNRX off in the distance. Frozen's already down and taken out. They are sweeping right now. 4MV coming online a little bit late, but better late than never.
Yeah, their hearts are pumping right now of how they're playing this. Confidence is definitely there from the choreography of PUBG Mobile we're seeing thrown out from them. Nades downhill. Reject have been losing a lot of the stock they've had to play with as the numbers are being thinned, and it is a rough battle to work with. Look at the angles you're fighting from here from DXavier, and the difference in the utility they've got to work with as well. You're being barraged by the nades. They know they fragmented them. OCO trapped behind the vehicle, lucky to be standing.
Yeah, it's a nice nade actually as well coming from DXavier. Paragin still just cleaning out that eastern side. Pretty confident that his 3 teammates can take on the remaining members there from Reject. I don't know, man. It's a difficult game to call. I mean, Boom's still in the game with this wide split over towards that north side. Waiting on this next circle, though. That's probably going to be the decider here. Heads up towards that north side. Now it's up to 4MV versus Boom. But already a shot comes through onto 4MV. I think that might have been a flush as well. Boom do actually get taken down by Paragin all the way in the back there. One player goes down, another one hits the deck. What's happening here?
They had a good spread on it. You had the better angle to work with for Miracle Vibes in the back, completely causing issues as well. Again, a barrage of bullets finds its way onto Boom. There's only one man trapped living on borrowed time. There's a nice nade in the back pocket as well. Should be able to get that right on target with the low HP. It's got to be a goodbye moment, and he's gone.
That was crazy good. I mean, Doc was just unbelievably good over in CSA, honestly. The people were saying that Max was glazing. And he absolutely should have. This guy is insane.
He deserved it.
He deserved it. He's an insane player. And I'm glad that Doc's actually finally waking up a little bit here in these games. But again, for a lot of these other squads in the lobby, hearing that slumbering beast start to growl awake is not a good sound for you. DXavier looking to clean out these final members coming through from Tiamba, QZ, NXC. Nade throws one through. That's going to get confusing for me, I reckon.
Finally for Reject, it felt like they had been alive for so damn long, basically trapped in a rough spot. They're now finally taken out of commission as DXavier are going from playing passive to taking the aggression back onto the other squads that have been put into unfavorable positions here.
For Miracle Vibes starting to get their split on now. I mean, they can see that there's a lot of fighting, or at least hear it off in the distance. So they're going to wrap for this ridge over towards that north side, pen IWNRX in. And I think this is the best thing for 4MV right now is they've got so much information because they have taken space. Doc on the sidelines, though. QZ with a unreal spray. Hits the dome and will knock Doc back a bit.
And this could be Tiamba trying to see if they could repeat history again. Going to be far harder this time to stay alive as a solo and steal away any sort of points off the back of the placement. And that is going to be a rough timing on the hill. Taken down. He's finished off there. And the carnage continues then, bringing us down to just the final 3 squads. 2 players knocked on either one of them. DXavier up with 3 players still kicking. You've got 4 Miracle Vibes with 2 alive. How's this going to go in terms of the spacing? Yeah, it's not looking good for DXavier on the way. You could just mow your way through on the cross here if they can get the angles. They've been good in the firefights as well.
Yeah. I think with DXavier, it's not the end of the world for them right now. They can still push up. They are outside the blue, and that's going to be their biggest difficulty. IWNRX still have 3 players, though, Jackie. And they still, I would say, are not to be underestimated in these lobbies. But being crunched between 2 squads is never an ideal situation. Quick step up here from Kine. We'll spot 1 from 4MV, but that'll be about it. I think DXavier panicking almost at this point, I'd say.
Potentially. I mean, the pressure could be getting you in terms of the angles you've got to contend with here. You do get the full reset off and have the manpower advantage in terms of the fights, but you're going to be ushered forward. There's not a lot of cover to work with, and that's the problem. That's when you're going to get sweep from the side. How do they contend with both squads at the same time, Blank? They don't have enough guns for it.
Yeah, and right now, all DXavier are doing is just putting themselves in the sightlines of IWNRX as 4MV just keeps them penned into that cage right now, and they're throwing away the key. It's a difficult scenario. You can see them all stimming up, getting ready for their last stand here. Ike Aragon charging the gates.
It's your last opportunity, moving the vehicle forward to at least have cover from the side. You know where Miracle Vibes can see you from, and you don't want to expose yourself to it. slowly edging forward as well due to the zone nipping at their heels. They jump in the vehicle and make the bold move. Engagement's good to at least open up. This was the worrying scenario. If they can clean house here, they're in a great spot. They're able to pick those up one after another, establishing the knocks and wiping them out of the congestion. And this could be massive now. You've got an edge blank. 4 players alive for DX Xavier. For Miracle Vibes down to 3. They were getting good chip damage off. They're fragmented in terms of the setup. You're looking for the flank round the back. There could be some moves to make on this one. Nade going in from the top. Is it going to be on target? You get the clear on both sides. Lamborghini's eating the brunt of the damage. Paragin looks to clear it from the edge. It's not going to work well for him. For Miracle Vibes, it doesn't matter that they're outnumbered because they certainly aren't outgunned as they put the pressure on and run away with that one in the end.
Goodness me, the Vibes were good in that last game before Miracle Vibes themselves. 4B looking unbelievable in those final moments. I mean, I got to give credit to DX Xavier where credit is due though. Great smoke, instant play over towards the back line and the front line on IWNRX, but immediately see Doc just charging, sprinting on his little boots there over towards the high ground to stare down the fate of DX Xavier. Really, really good endgame. And again, that's that tactical nature that we were expecting from 4MB coming into today, into PMWC in general. The base is away.